Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So, in this episode I will be discussing Disney Pixar's 13th movie release together, the 2012 animated movie Brave, as directed by Mark Andrews and Brenda Chapman, and I do believe co-directed by Steve Purcell. Before I begin, I want to give a big shout out to Elise Catherine for recommending this film. Elise has a lifestyle vlog YouTube channel with kind of a fresh and friendly appeal and specialises in maintenance tips for curly hair, which I did think was very apt considering the heroine in this particular movie. So yeah, thank you very much for your excellent choice of movie, and I do hope I can do it justice. For anybody else that may be interested, I will leave a link to Elise's channel in the comment section below. Do please check it out. As I say, she has a real friendly approach to things, and her videos are always very well crafted. If, of course, anybody else watching has a film they would like me to review, I will only be too happy to take a stab at it. Do let me know. Not always the fastest. It's not always easy to kind of schedule the films in with family and things and do that, but I do promise I will get around to it. So, no, absolutely. So, Brave. This one was an interesting choice for me, in that it's a very rare these days that I don't come across a Disney come Pixar movie that I haven't seen. Bar, of course, the new ones at the cinema when we do get those. There are still a couple left, don't get me wrong, but for some reason this one, although it has kind of always looked like it should be good, I've had it in my collection now for a number of years. It's been sat there behind me all that time. It just kind of always seems to get overlooked when we're choosing a film to watch. And so in this, Elise's request was the perfect opportunity to dust off the Blu-ray and see what I had been missing. And do you know what? Wow. Why I hadn't seen this movie sooner is absolutely beyond me. It was absolutely spellbinding. So, in the movie, we are introduced to Merida, as voiced by Kelly MacDonald, who is actually tipped to be the very first Pixar introduced Disney princess. Now, the thing is, that isn't 100% true. She might be the first human princess, but let's kind of not forget that we did have Princess Atta from Pixar's 1998's A Bug's Life. But in any event, this film does set a few of its own records. Not least, it was also the first Pixar movie with a lead female protagonist. But also, in order to achieve the kind of required detail in their animation, for this movie, Pixar kind of rewrote their program for their animations for the first time, think since they started, I think. And you can certainly tell that this film was a real labour of love, and ultimately so worth it in the end. I also do believe it has the first female director of a Pixar movie as well. So again, it has a number of accolades to its name. But anyway, I do digress. Merida is the daughter of the leader of a group of Scottish clans whose mother, Queen Eleanor, as voiced by Emma Thompson, wishes her daughter to take up her mantle as queen someday, and everything she does is towards this goal. Merida, however, has other ideas, being very much like her dad, King Fergus, as voiced by Billy Connolly, and wanting to forge her own path in life, being a warrior, adventurous, fearless, and a free spirit, and is always at loggerheads with her mum as a result, each as infuriatingly stubborn as the other. Ultimately, part of the duties of becoming queen is to have the firstborn of each of the clans compete in the Highland Games for her hand in marriage in the tradition of the kingdom. This does not go down too well and results in a massive fight between Merida and her mother, which sees Merida then meet with a witch in order to obtain a spell to change her mother's point of view. Well, what it actually does is change her mother into a bear. The one thing her father absolutely despises the most after being attacked by the ferocious Mordu, a ferocious bear, the thing of legends, a number of years earlier, and losing part of his leg in the process. What then transpires is an adventure like no other, delving into their ancestors' past and how this kind of mirrors their present, with Merida and Eleanor having to learn to listen and understand each other in order to learn how the spell can be broken. Now, I must admit that this film completely took me off guard. I knew little of it, but from the cover of the Blu-ray, I kind of had, and from the very few clips that I'd seen, I thought I was going to be in for like a Mulan type film, sort of like an animated Braveheart, perhaps. That's what I thought. But that could not have been further from the truth. I was completely surprised this film had anything magic related. Not that I'm complaining. It just kind of threw me a little bit. But then that is my own fault for assuming things, of course. The movie is actually a story about self-discovery, about the bond between mother and daughter, and the way that this can be so fraught at times. I'm sure that the film personifies the way that most of us have felt about our parents at times. But ultimately, it is about coming together as a family against our differences, our fears and prejudices, in the case of bears, and having the power to see how the actions of the past can then shape our future. The movie was itself absolutely breathtaking. The animation used was simply exquisitely detailed and complemented the beautiful storytelling that unfolded on screen. What I would say is that I found the style of storytelling here to be very heartfelt and a little raw at times. And although, yes, there is some comedy, this is not what this film is about. And in this respect, has a very different feel to most other Pixars I have seen, taking a very emotional approach throughout, with the comedy kind of being a lot more understated, sometimes a little bit dark. In this respect, I wouldn't say it's aimed at young children in the same way that many other Pixars are. This would appeal to a much older audience and deals with some quite mature concepts. We did, in fact, lose the interest from Oliver, our son, now 7, whilst watching this one. So I would just be mindful of that. It's not got adult content. It's still a Disney at heart. And that is most certainly what this film has got in abundance. Heart. Absolutely. The characters in this movie, especially Merida, are just so powerful and command serious on-screen presence. I did especially like the use of the Scottish accents and dialect. It can be pretty hard to understand at points, but that is half the fun in learning some of the colourful ways in which the Scots do express themselves. And I mean absolutely no disrespect to this at all. You kind of absorb the dialect as the movie progresses, and by the end, I didn't even realise, to be fair. You know, as the movie was set in Scotland and in the days of the clans, it was excellent to see the filmmakers be as authentic as they probably could be with the characters and the story, whilst, you know, still making an animation. Now, in this, I do come from a position of being at least some part Scottish myself. Either a quarter or 1/8. Not really sure how you kind of work it out. But yeah, whatever that actual ratio is, my mum's dad, so my granddad, was a very broad and very proud Scot, with a real strong Scottish accent, as indeed had the rest of his family too, much like the characters in this film. I didn't get to see him as much as I would have liked as I was growing up, living so far apart. You know, I live about 6 hours away from where he lived, and that is on a good day. But this film brought back, you know, at least the memories of those good times we did have together, and the laughs that we had trying to understand each other. Not to digress even more, but I do come from a place called Hull in England. Look it up, absolutely. We are a little bit of a backwater, but we also have a dialect all of our own. In fact, I think somebody produced a dictionary for some of the words that we actually use. How to speak Hull, or as we would actually say it, Hull. But yeah, the film did brought back lots of memories for me, and of course of Scotland itself, which is simply a magical place in itself, with its wide reaching landscapes, mountainous ranges, lochs, and just spectacular scenery. All of which was brought to life in amazing detail in this film. The movie also had a fantastic soundtrack composed by Patrick Doyle, using some traditional Scottish instruments, such as, of course, the bagpipes, and with a number of incidental songs kind of intertwined into the plot, used to create ambience and convey the feelings and moods of the characters. And to match the visual displays, of course, you know, very, very rousing stuff, simply brought the Scottish Highlands to life. So yeah, overall, a spectacular entry from Pixar, with some stunning cinematography and a beautiful, heartwarming story. With a strong female lead character, this is simply a treat to watch. Whilst perhaps focused more as a drama, perhaps with some mature themes that kind of, that leaning towards Pixar's usual light and storytelling, it's not quite the same, but it's beautiful nonetheless. Get the ones you love together, snuggle up, add some treats, simply enjoy. So that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please hit that subscribe button. But most of all, please do come back to SciFirst MovieTalk for more movie reviews, more trailer reactions, and more other movie-related episodes. We have absolutely loved having you. Thank you very much, and please do come back again. But yes, thank you, and goodbye.